You guys actually believe this idiot is a socialist? Forget the religion. Hasan is the opiate of the masses. Straight to the gulag for anyone sought to this idiot.
This is just really going to convince a lot of people that your beliefs are super, super edgy, cool, and normal. Like, yeah, I didn't know how I felt about that Ethan Klein guy. Then I watched Content Nuke with Hasan Piker. And boy, it's definitely hinged. Yep, if there's one word I can use to describe it, it's hinged. Hinged, oh, it is just nailed down. It is hinged. Yeah, so there's just two massive takedowns of the two biggest streamers in the political sphere today. And you wouldn't know it. Well, I guess maybe you would. Like, one of them is about how Hasan Piker is apparently a bad guy for not respecting the actions of the Israeli government and the Israeli war machine and the military-industrial complex of the United States as it engages in a genocide. How shame on you. And then the other one's a pretty cohesive and well-documented collection of what appears to be the sex crimes of Stephen Bonnell II, and how he's gotten away with being a sex criminal and running basically a massive community of people willing to either look the other way or allow him to continue to offend and do sex crimes. And those are the two topics for these two massive videos that are on the internet right now. I think, okay, well, fair enough. Some of you are saying he's biased. You're biased. Yes, I am biased, obviously. This stream, if you didn't know, and I'm going to have to, I guess, be unapologetic about this, is anti-apartheid. And I know, hot takes right now. Anti-genocide as well. So, again, there's not going to be a very favorable take on my behalf if someone is saying, well, won't someone please think of what's going on right now? Well, I mean, the plight of the IDF? No. Yeah, that is, as of right now, I would say a pretty horrifying collection of individuals who are engaging in the genocide of Palestinians. And that hasn't changed. So don't know why you would want to make a whole video on that topic, though, and then go after Hasan specifically, unless this was something that, I don't know, it's probably going to be spicy. But we got nuke sounds and...
Oh, yeah, and I got a tattoo also, so... I'm cool like that now. Left or right, I always thought that, despite our differences, there was one thing we could all agree on. And what was that?
Bad.
That we love America and everything she stands for. Mom and Dad and apple pie. Sure, there's plenty to criticize and endless things to improve, but I thought it was about making a more perfect union.
This is already so cringe. It's almost too cringe. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stomach the whole thing. Also, for some reason, Chrome is working very poorly for me, so I'm gonna switch to Firefox. It's open source, right? It can't hurt us. Firefox. Probably going to play the content better.
There was one thing we could all agree on. And what was that? That we love America and everything she stands for. Mom and Dad and apple pie. Sure, there's plenty to criticize and endless things to improve, but I thought it was about making a more perfect union, not tearing it down. The thing is, there's something kind of scary brewing in America. Communism. That's America.
This is a joke, right? Like you're not actually doing the Red Spectre shit in 2025. We're not going to be living through that. Is this going to happen? Is this whole thing going to be like, oh, the commies are here. Yeah, there's a Spectre haunting the fucking Discord channels.
That's America to me. I started a show a couple of years ago with my acquaintance, Hasan Piker. You might remember him from such classics as
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it, I'm saying it. Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers in a video game. Sorry. Holy shit. That's not what I said. You dumb cracker bitch.
And of course, the Leftovers podcast, which was our show, which we made broadly to goof on the antics of the right. Now, to be clear, I knew about all these edgy and controversial jokes at the time we made the show together, because who am I to judge?
Here is Ethan Klein being a delightful human being.
I was just gonna say, if there's another Holocaust, if they start rounding up the Jews again, I hope Ben gets... He presents himself as someone like me, a left-leaning Democrat who supports basic things. And we went on making the show for about 2 years and everything was good. Everyone was having fun.
I know this went through like 50 edits. Was that one of them right there? Who supports basic things? It's not. If someone asked me to describe Hasan in a sentence, that probably wouldn't be it. I wouldn't be like, you know, left-leaning Democrat who supports basic things. Yeah, that's how I would describe that guy.
The audience was having fun. No problem. That was until this happened. We were doing our regular show, and for the first time I noticed an inordinate amount of radical, hardcore leftists. I mean, I thought we were social democrats, not whatever this was. I don't hate the idea of like people who can be successful. I think it's good that people can achieve success in the term monetary success. I mean, that's what that means, right? I do. You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Because I see so many people in the chat saying,
fuck, this thing is going to be so painful. There's not a single leftist who opposes you doing well in your position or job. It's not be broke, then you're leftist. Yes, leftism is achieved. Truly, we will have the revolution, comrades, once we all cannot afford groceries, but we have done it. No, it's that people are exploiting your ass. It's that people need to recognize the fact that, like, yeah, billionaires, to become a billionaire in today's society, you can't do that unless you're doing it off the backs of tens of thousands of other people's labor. And so, like, this mythos, this whole meritocratic lie that you've been fed. And by the way, it's no longer something that's just isolated to a small group of leftist academics who are thinking this. Everyone's waking up to this shit. Everyone's recognizing it. Everyone's sick and fucking tired of how bad they get treated by their bosses, and then recognize, wow, it's kind of weird that he's got like 3 houses, 2 fucking RVs. He goes on vacation half the year, and I'm stuck here struggling 9 to 5. This is a brutal reality that I live in. What's causing this? I'm doing everything right. I'm playing by the rules. I'm fucking, you know, doing my hard work. I pay my rent. I try to date, but it's hard and expensive, and it's getting harder and harder to find any free time to enjoy my life. But hey, why is life so shitty? What's going on here? It has nothing to do with like, hey, by the way, hard work is good. Yes, no shit, hard work's good. You probably deserve all the fucking fruits of that hard work, is the point.
I know.
I don't know what y'all are tripping about. Like, what the fuck do you
What
want?
is the idea that
you guys,
people
like,
are looking for?
You guys are all like radical communists? There's that many radical communists?
Speaking of radical communists, Leonard McDonald, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. And Isaac SN, thank you for the 199. Ethan is off to a bad start. I agree.
Suck it, chat. You're watching a capitalist pig. Deal with it. And then this happened. This comment from Hasan really started to sound some alarms in my head.
If you're in a socialist country with multiple parties, and one of the parties is a capitalist party, which would surely exist, what would you do if that party started gaining momentum?
The solution to that would always be education and offering more
re-education.
We're doing it. We're doing the Red Scare shit in 2025. Digital Red Scare on fucking content nukes. I'll have you know, because I've watched the other ones. The other, recipients of content nukes have been like The Quartering, a guy who was trying to make PSAs about how to fucking protect yourself if you have child porn, or sorry, CSAM, child sexual abuse materials, on your computer. Keemstar, a guy who, exploits people's mental health to the point of them unaliving themselves, and actually, significantly expose the fact that he is completely fine with, basically preying on people's poor mental health for views. Hasan Piker, guy who opposes apartheid. And then it's like, well, yeah, but you don't know. You don't know the communism. Guy's a communist. Case example here. Couple random people in a chat on one of my streams were making fun of me when I said hard work is good. That's odd. Kind of weird. Probably nothing. Until I heard him say one time that he thinks that people who have really, really extremist views and thoughts need re-education in the camps. Kind of sus.
Certainly, yeah. There should be an enforcement mechanism, and in that enforcement mechanism, I think like rehabilitation, which would include re-education as well.
If putting capitalists in re-education camps isn't disturbing enough, I started to notice that Hasan was carrying a lot of water for communist states' war crimes and genocides.
What do you call Crimea? I call it a part of...
Oh my god, we're doing this! I was joking when I started this. I'm like, there's no way the whole angle, the hour and 48 fucking, apologia for Israeli war crimes video is genuinely gonna be there's a specter haunting YouTube. But that's what it is. That's 100% what this video is. It's just straight up, he's an evil communist. There was no way of knowing. I was creating content with him for a year. I had my suspicions that he might be an evil commie. I couldn't calculate. We couldn't figure it out.
Russian territory, bitch. That's what I call Crimea. I call it Crimea River, a Russian river. The annexation of Crimea is absolutely a justifiable annexation. Tibet was literally a fucking feudal slave mandate
So
Oh.
China
autonomous zone.
China did them a favor.
That was one. I mean, in America, when I say something like this, people get very upset. You know, we talk about the Dalai Lama saying "suck my tongue" or whatever, but like that's not far from the norm in fucking normal Tibetan existence before the Communist Party came in and
So
took
China
over.
unilaterally took over Tibet,
Like
squelched
these are
their culture. They basically are trying to, homogenize the culture.
if your culture,
They're trying to swell the religion and
the part,
identity.
the part of
and they did them
feudal
a favor.
warlords and slavery about.
But again, I've seen the full version of all these clips, and I've seen them used and regurgitated within the same kind of circles. Like, it's obvious that all of this is coming from the old DGG collection, by the way. A lot of them were in the same ones that, like, Destiny's community were always pushing forward. And it's like, okay, the clips of him going off about Crimea, is it saying at the start of the clip, hi, by the way, I love Vladimir Putin, I love Russia, I want Russia to take over and annex Ukraine, so because he's going to do that, I love him so much, I can't wait till he takes over Crimea. Oh, he took over Crimea, haha, Crimea River, and then that's the clip? Or was it that he was arguing with someone in his chat who was trying to argue with him about the annexation of Crimea, not the morality of it, or of whether or not he agrees with it? And by the way, you can disagree with Hasan's take. Most people do. He's part of a group of people who, for a living, speak into a microphone for hours on end every single day. You don't have to sit there and be like, yes, I agree with literally everything he says. He is daddy. He controls the internet. At the same time, if you're going to make like a valid case for the man is 100% willing to stand up for authoritarian, far-right dictatorships and regimes as they take over other parts of the world, and he's an apologist for some of the worst war criminals throughout history, and then the clip is literally him arguing with his chat. Like, I've seen him say much worse shit than this. Well, I'm sure it gets there. Fuck, we're only
Pushing
5
back,
minutes
yes,
in.
I do think that is good.
No, China did them a favor.
This is a good way to describe Taiwan as well. The American federal government going to the fucking South and killing, unfortunately not all of them, but a decent amount of slavers and defenders of slavery. This is violent retribution from a powerful federal government
Tibet was a
that
separatist?
squashed, okay?
Tibet is the South in the Civil War?
Yes.
And most disturbingly, a complete whitewashing of the Chinese genocide against their Muslim minority group, the Uyghurs.
Don't they have Uyghur death camps? Is that...
It's not a death camp. They were re-education camps, and they are no longer in operation.
Is that
according
true?
to the Associated Press?
Okay. I saw this
But, yeah,
crazy
they're-
documentary, and I don't know. I don't know the surrounding narrative or anything about it, but it was about there was doctors in the area. They would be able to procure organs.
No,
or-
that's.
I'm telling you, they were in China with.
Dog, okay, that one is like Shen Yun,
They're like, we
Falun
could
Gong.
get you an organ from a Uyghur. But why is that? Is that really that crazy?
Wait, that's the clip that you used to build your case? That makes you look deranged and racist. Why does every person who wants to speak about up about this issue never do any research into it? Because I'm someone who's made multiple videos on it, and I was criticizing at the time, as everyone should, by the way that China was dealing with that problem. There was multiple attacks that were taking place within their country. They were isolating them, treating them like they did. Like America, very similarly, post 9/11 was treating Muslims in their own nation, where all of a sudden it's like, hey, by the way, because of the actions of a couple terrorist extremists who do not speak for all of the Uyghur Muslim minority members of, the who live in China, we're going to suddenly take people and put them into re-education centers. We're suddenly going to be using those re-education centers to do cheap labor for American companies and corporations, such as Apple and a lot of other companies that did use Uyghur camp, exploitation and stuff like that. That's all bad. That's all horrible. You should criticize that. And then afterwards, not like recognize how the same thing is being done in your own backyard in a lot of ways, right? Like, have you heard of prison labor in the United States? Have you heard of the way that Muslims were treated in the U.S. post 9/11? Have you heard about the way that things like the Patriot Act are capable of rounding up people or citizens, perhaps, and then putting them without due recourse or justice into this is not something you always just need to, isolate completely within the boundaries of your own. Tesla used that labor pool. See, the real valid things you should be calling out. And then, yes, he's completely right about how in the Associated Press as of right now, and I believe probably under intense international scrutiny, which probably played a large role, those programs have completely ramped down. And it's one of those things where now, why are you bringing it up as if it's something that you care profoundly about? And then you're bringing up some weird-ass racist lie about how they were organ farming and collecting people's organs and selling them on, the black market? Where the fuck did that come from?
Press quietly fucking wrote an article that didn't get a lot of coverage in mainstream media about how all the concentration camps have been closed now. All the re-education camps are closed now in fucking Xinjiang, and it's very different. Very different vibes in Xinjiang, and now it's the tourism hour.
Let's see what the Associated Press actually had to say about this. These are all AP articles from the last 2 years. UK independent body reports China committed
Tibet was a brutal clerico-feudal state. Taiwan was also a brutal military dictatorship that repressed indigenous people. Repressed indigenous Taiwanese folks. The PRC should be criticized, but Ethan represents Ethan's point. That's kind of been, like, I'd say, the basis of a lot of the background posts so far.
In Xinjiang, China sanctioned a U.S. research firm and 2 individuals over a report about the human rights violations in Xinjiang.
It's the tourism hour.
To China's fury, UN accuses Beijing of Uyghur rights abuses.
Tourism hour.
Uyghur County in China has the highest prison rate.
Are you changing? Can you please just learn how to pronounce it before you even want to criticize this? It's so strange to hear. It's like Uyghur, with the Uyghur camp Muslims of the Uyghurs. And now, yes, apparently they have a large percentage of people who are currently locked up.
In the world, 1 in 25 people is in a Chinese prison.
It's the tourism hour.
48 Uyghurs.
The largest prison concentration in the world is in the United States. I mean, you have to learn that. It's America. It's America. It's in America. America has 1% of its population in prison. That's the largest population density in prison in human history for any nation ever. That's in the good old US of A.
Detained in Thailand for almost 11 years on hunger strike to protest their imminent deportation to China, where they face imprisonment or execution.
Not only does this AP article seem not to exist, reading the AP proved exactly the opposite. Hasan has happily eaten up the Chinese propaganda on this and has regurgitated it to his mainstream audience. Why is he defending China's genocide of their Muslim population? How does this even make sense? It only makes sense if A, he's being paid, or B, he has the political complexities of a 5-year-old. I know America bad is a meme.
He is being paid by the people watching him. I think he sometimes puts the number up on the screen, yes, he makes lots of money. He makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month by the thousands of people who watch him and sub to his thing. You can call him like a useful idiot, or you could call him like a stooge or someone who is just replicating communist propaganda on the behalf of the Chinese government. But that's very different than saying that he's directly taking money in order to say the things that he's saying.
That people laugh at online. But with Hasan, this does actually seem to be the beginning and the end of his analysis.
2 principles. Let me explain to you. 2 principles that you should keep with you, coming from a person who's Turkish, okay? When you look at a situation in the Middle East, you look at what the local government is and who the Western forces are. Never align with the Western forces. So when I look at other countries, I look at the regional actor, whoever the regional power player is, and then I look at who is backed by the Western superpowers. That's a principle that you could take home with you. If you want to actually be moral, or if you want to be smart about the way you analyze other countries, that's one basic principle that you can take home with you. All of a sudden, magically, you are above on your foreign policy analysis. You're going to be better off than 90% of people that look at the situation.
After seeing all of this, I was already getting uncomfortable with our partnership.
I started to wonder if I had any idea who this guy actually is.
And then this happened.
We have breaking news out of Israel this morning, where Hamas has launched a surprise attack within Israel's borders overnight.
After the shock of
It's so fucked up framing this whole thing around yourselves and your own fucking shows and drama when we're talking about genocide. It's like, I was having a pretty fun time making contact with one Hassan Abbey, but then, record scratch, whoa, my world turned upside down. Yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got it. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, really? This is how we're framing the whole thing?
October 7th, I noticed a huge increase of anti-Semitic comments from Hasan's stream and Discord, including from his head mod. I was disturbed that Hasan was seemingly okay with this.
Can you, do you care that your chat is calling me racist? Do you make any attempt to modify?
I have not looked at my chat.
Moderate that at all?
I have not looked at my chat at all, but you
I just opened it, but don't you have moderators? Do you care at all about what your audience says about me?
There's 32,000 people in here right now.
I'm just trying to tell you guys how it feels. And I'm fucking shocked that you don't care that people in your chat are saying, who the fuck is this child, cold, arrogant,
Ethan, I love you, but there's only so much I can do.
How can you be surprised when your Discord is literally full of fucking...
Ethan, I love you, but there's only so much I can do if you're making that argument. You know that, right? Like,
Hasan's chat had been calling me a Zionist, baby-killing genocider. Maybe it is unreasonable that I'm asking him to moderate his chat for a friend. He doesn't even know where I'm coming.
Me. So much me. I can't believe this was happening to me.
From, because it's not something he would ever ask for.
And all these other content creators actually, whipping their communities when their chat is going fucking absolutely bananas over random dumb shit and bringing my name up for no fucking reason. That you were just allowing that shit to run rampant in your chat And I thought that was fucked up.
Ethan, I love you, but there's only so much I can do.
Especially as someone who thought we were fucking friends. I think that's a reasonable expectation for someone who you consider to be a friend.
The problem wasn't that he was pro-Palestinian, because I share a lot of those views, and I've been a stalwart supporter of the Palestinian cause for many years. The problem with Hasan's coverage, and a lot of people like him, was their complete lack of empathy for the Jewish people who were frankly slaughtered by Hamas. He refused to show even a crumb of empathy for the Jewish victims.
But listen to what this guy has to say.
As you might have seen, there was some sort of rave or desert party where they were having a great time until the resistance came in electrified hang gliders and took at least several dozen hipsters. But I'm sure they're doing very fine despite what the New York Post says. But nobody had seen this coming.
I mean, that's insane, right?
I don't even... Yeah, okay. Like...
Okay.
I'm
just criticizing people. You don't have to comment if you're not comfortable about it.
I honestly felt at times that he and his audience barely thought of Israelis as humans.
This dude just called babies militants.
No, I understand. And there are baby settlers as well. But there are baby settlers as well. There are babies in the settlements.
Part of running defense for Hamas is downplaying the violence.
Oh my God. I mean, if this had come out like maybe 3 months in, you know, post October 7th, not like now when it's like pretty well documented by the world's leading human rights organizations like Amnesty International to be a genocide, the very idea of now trying to be like, I mean, was he actually supporting Hamas? Do you support Hamas? Are you found like... We're so far past that at this point. Like, I think a lot of people, rather than continuing to go down that line of rhetoric, are just trying to move on to something else because they recognize that, like, you know, the horrifying reality of trying to downplay atrocities, war crimes, and genocide at this point. It's just like, how are you going to reckon with this? I know, like, there's people to this day who still do that. I was against the Iraq War. I wasn't for the Iraq War. I definitely was in opposition to it. No, you weren't. No, lots of evidence to the contrary.
Specifically the sexual violence, which he's done a lot of.
Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. So that's the other part of this problem that many people can't contend with. Like, the Palestinian resistance is not perfect. They're not like so good. They have magical bullets.
This is so fucked up on a number of levels. Because the first thing, if you're calling someone else out for not taking sexual assault seriously, how the fuck do you go and then in that same call out make a joke about sexual assault? You tried to meme a joke about sexual assault, also using AI? Like, what the fuck? And then in addition to that, that wasn't what he was saying there. He wasn't trying to say rape is good. He's okay with rape. Hasan suddenly approves of rape. No, he was saying that you have to oppose genocide or apartheid, regardless if you think the victims of it are perfect or not. That doesn't enter into the equation about whether or not those things should be opposed or ended. This is the same argument that gets brought up all the time when people are like, oh, what, queers for Palestine, you know what they would do to you? They would throw you off a building. Yeah, queers for Palestine, they would hang you as soon as you got there. Enjoy being beheaded for Palestine, you fucking chickens for KFC. And it's like, that's not true. If it was true, that doesn't change like the fact that I'm against genocide or I'm against apartheid or I'm against all these things that one nation is doing to another nation, because you don't have a perfect victim. There's no such thing as the perfect victim, this perfect victim mentality. Like, to suddenly believe that, there's not going to be brutal acts of resistance being done to a group that is being genocided. Absolutely, there will be. It's like if you treat someone inhumanely, my God, I can't believe it. They acted inhumanely as a response to being treated inhumanely. How can you believe that?
The Palestinian resistance is not perfect. They're not like so good. They have magical bullets. It's not perfect.
Of course, if you compare the raw numbers, Gazans have lost a lot more than Israelis. 40,000 people have died, and neighborhoods have been completely flattened during this war. And while we should keep their plight at the top of our minds at all time, it also doesn't mean that we should disregard the lives of the Jewish people who are also affected by this, even if their suffering on the whole is not.
He wasn't doing that. That's not what he said in that clip. This is also ridiculous. How are you still making this about your own beef? We should also keep in mind that what's happened to Palestinians apparently is pretty bad. I've heard it's like, yeah, let's just keep that like the number. What, 40,000? We'll go with that. Yeah, that sounds really rough. Okay. But while you're thinking about that, I mean, you know, put that into one corner, keep that at the front of your mind, at all times. We should also be talking about, and my own beefs with Hasan because he wasn't being as acceptable as I like. What the fuck are we doing? This is way more grotesque than I thought it was going to be. I thought like you're going to see a lot of the same old hits, right? Hasan admitted that he visited a brothel. That same brothel got investigated, and then have to get to the point where it's like, well, it turns out that they weren't actually involved in the things we accused Hasan of. Turns out it was for like tax evasion. Well, okay, fine. What about this time that he said like 9/11 was really good or something? Okay, well, what about this time that he actually supported a terrorist and put like a Houthi pirate on his stream and then tried to meme with him and turn him into One Piece? But instead it's like, why don't we just like try and frame this around our own friendship and then like tell a narrative that everyone knows isn't true? Like, anyone who's been watching your show knows you weren't secretly standing there the whole time like, whoa, I thought this guy was a liberal left-leaning Democrat who suddenly is saying some pretty scary things. Is he perhaps a Chinese communist? I never saw the warning signs, though. Why didn't he tell me he was a Chinese communist? So I'm in a show with a Chinese communist. And then October 7th happened, and you'll never believe how wacky things got right after it. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, no, don't do this. Did no one tell you, like, you have so many employees, so many people who work for you, who are on your team. There's got to be someone at some point who's going to be like, do not do this. Come on, we're so far past it's acceptable to start being the, like, do you condemn Hamas shit, all right? Like, we're talking about people who have lost hundreds of thousands. There are thousands of children buried under rubble. There are just so much amounts of demonstrable death and suffering. This is a genocide. Amnesty International recognizes it as genocide. Thousands of scholars have recognized. Don't make this about you. Do not do that. It would be the most inappropriate way to deal with this topic that is absolutely horrifying. You might be, if you do this, the person on the internet who treated this the most poorly as anyone could have if you release this. But, oh, no, he's doing it.
As great. Some of you may know that I'm an Israeli dual citizen. My wife is Israeli, my kids are half Israeli, and my entire in-law is Israeli. I lived there for 5 years, and I grew a closeness with the country and its people. One of the biggest issues between me, Hasan, and his community was that I am in favor of a two-state.
I understand right now that there's a lot of emotions, and they've got to be very difficult for some people to get through all these different parts, right? But like, I'm a Canadian. I'm a Canadian citizen. If I was to have a child, it would be a Canadian citizen, and my wife, she's Canadian. We're all Canadian. When we travel, we use Canadian passports. We're Canadian. That doesn't change the fact that I can learn about the history of Canada, recognize that it has committed genocide and has ongoing processes that are part of that genocide, and then within the system, try and change that. Advocate for change. Say land back. Things like that. You can do both. You can at the same time recognize the country that I live in, that I am a citizen of, does horrifying atrocities towards different groups of people. There's a lot of racism. There's a lot of systemic racism. There's a lot of problems with it. We got to change that shit, because no, I do not sit here as a proud Canadian who just wants to tell you about how glorious and amazing my fucking country is. I think parts of it are revolting. They're disgusting. And we can work towards a better Canada if we just honestly put in some more time. I wouldn't sit here and be like, all right, so some of you are really, really upset right now that apparently Canada has invaded Alaska and are bombing the fuck out of Alaska, and they've killed everyone there, and there's nothing left, and all the houses are gone, and all these people are buried under rubble, and that's after we've been starving Alaska for years and years and years, and like, we're really sorry, America, for doing that, but Canada, they just feel it's their territory. It goes back. It's in the Canadian Bible. Don't worry. Don't think about it. But they have a right to that land, so they've been just killing and slaughtering everybody, and you're all very, very mad about that. But you know, I gotta say, you know, as a Canadian, I do have a little kinship with this land of Canada, so surely you must on some level be able to understand that, right? When you're looking at all the horrifying war crimes.
State solution, while they are in favor of a one-state solution. Their theory is that after the October 7th attack, Israel should just dissolve its borders and let Hamas enter Israel unrestrained.
What do you think Israel should have done in response to October 7th?
Instead of indiscriminately bombing Gaza, I think the first thing to do in that situation would be to dismantle the government in the way that it existed, like get Netanyahu out of power.
Okay. So you're saying Israel in response... Hold on, dude. You're saying in response to this terrorist attack, Israel should have dismantled their own government.
First set of actions would be to democratically take Netanyahu out of power. Yes.
The problem is that Israel's been at war with its neighbors for 70 plus years, and it makes a lot of sense that there be some distrust there. Is it really insane to think that Jews, as an ethnic minority in Israel, would not be safe? After all, Israel is a country of refugees. If the Jews didn't come from Europe after the Holocaust, they came from the surrounding Arab countries that expelled them in massive amounts following the 1948 war. In fact, there was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. 1 million Jews. All of these surrounding Arab countries had vibrant Jewish community.
I didn't think I would see this at the tail end of a fucking, like, content nuke, you know? This is the kind of stuff that I'd expect to see someone trying to debate and argue on a episode of Piers Morgan, and then you'd be sitting there and be like, wait, sorry, you're calling them the ethnic minority? You're talking about, like, we're talking about a country and its establishment, and if you want to go through these, like, really important parts of history, we should actually dissect it bit by bit, not just overshadow, not do the narrative that, like, well, one side was always attacking the other, and so because of that attack, they had to respond, and this was really defensive as they continued to acquire and take and possess more land, and it's not truly a system of apartheid, even though it's recognized internationally as a system of apartheid by most governments and agencies who investigate that kind of stuff, but truly, for me, I think that everyone does have the right to, you know, you can be Muslim in Israel, you can be Jewish in Israel, you can be Christian in Israel. And so what does that really tell you? Is there an apartheid system? Like, we're doing this in the middle of a drama fucking content nuke? Are you serious?
Communities in huge number, hundreds of thousands. Now, if you look at them, you're looking at close to, if not literally, 0 Jews left in these countries.
Just to give you an idea, here's a visual representation of the Jewish refugees after 1948. Morocco had 265,000 Jews. Now it has 2,000. Algeria had 140,000. Now it has about 50. Iraq had 150,000 Jews. Now 10. And I want to give a special shout out to my boy over in Afghanistan, one known Jew. We know him. We love him. He's the one Afghan Jew.
They were forced to leave their homes, their lives, their property.
I don't think anyone on the other end, by the way, who's defending, you know, the right for Palestine to exist, or you know, opposing apartheid or opposing genocide, disagrees with the horrifying crimes and atrocities that have befallen the Jewish people, especially at the hands of white supremacists who have been trying to dictate and control their lives, and that's something that I think everyone who's on the other end of this, whatever you want to call it, conversation, would be first to tell you, as in, like, yeah, no, it's absolutely atrocious what you know, people have been doing to Jewish people for fucking centuries. In that case, though, what is this an argument for in the other direction? If you are saying, hey, the other side of this opposes apartheid, you shouldn't have a system of apartheid in the same way that apartheid was opposed in, say, South Africa. In this way, it's like, yes, right now that there is 2 nation states that live right beside each other. They are both internationally recognized. One is not recognized by the United States, I'll grant you that, but they are both internationally recognized as nations, and then one nation is imposing upon the other. We're always told, and it's always framed this way, where it's like, do you not believe that Israel has a right to defend itself? Do you not believe that Israel has a right to exist? Well, the right to existing, this is weird. We don't talk about other countries like that. Like, I don't hear other people telling me, do you not believe that Canada has a right to exist? Do you not believe that America has a right? It does exist. It's a nation. We have to acknowledge that. So now that we're all adults and we can acknowledge that there has been an established nation within this part of the world, no, it does not have a right to be an apartheid nation. It doesn't have a right to impose. That's where international law and international rights begin, where it's one nation doesn't have a right to simply invade another nation because they are stronger, to simply occupy the land of another nation because they are stronger, to force another nation into abysmal living conditions because they want to impress the local people who live there. That's exactly why we have and try to implement international law. That's the point behind it. And so if you're constantly going to reframe this whole thing like, well, I mean, are you someone who legitimately doesn't think that Israel has a right to defend itself? Are you trying to say you don't think it has a right to exist? Do you not think Jewish people have a right to exist? Do you not think Jewish people have a right to feel safe? Of course they do. I think every single person not only has a right to exist, but has a right to feel safe. I agree. This is destabilizing the planet. This is making people kill each other in a lot of different countries. This is all part and goes back to the whole U.S. military-industrial complex, funneling so much weaponry to other nations and then having them use them on civilian populations. This is bad for everybody. It makes everyone unsafe. It increases the carbon output of the entire planet dramatically. This is a disaster, an absolute horrifying disaster. This is very, very different than being like, hey, but do you not think, do you not believe? Like, why doesn't anyone ever say that for other countries in the same way? It's so strange.
And migrate to the only place in the world that would accept them, which was Israel. The irony of this whole situation is that after the 1948 war, when Israel won the war to declare its independence, the Arab countries got super anti-Semitic against their own Jewish citizenry that had nothing to do with Israel. And as a result, they kicked them all out, 1 million plus of them, and forced them to go the one place
Kinda
they
show 'em
hated the
off.
most, Israel. And now those same people that forced them out of their homes are telling them they don't belong there. So if the Jews of Israel are surrounded by Islamic militant terrorist groups that have stated their goal is to annihilate Israel as a Jewish state, and considering the historical context of Jews being pogromed from Arab countries, is it really that crazy for them to not feel safe as an ethnic minority, even a little bit?
And that's pretty much the entirety of our disagreement. Despite what you've read on TikTok and Twitter, I've donated 65.
Yeah, which is exactly why I say it's really important at this point that everyone understands that, like, you should never, and like, you know, Ta-Nehisi Coates put this so well. Read his new book that came out. It's honestly, it's way more beautiful and poignant than I thought it was going to be when he framed this as, you should never feel ashamed for opposing apartheid, no matter where it manifests itself. We have all somehow bought into this myth where you feel on some level that you are offending another people or culture or ethnicity or religion or history if you speak up about this in the same way you would speak up about this in regards to any other group. And that's one of the reasons why it's been so destabilizing for a lot of the pro-Israel lobby, as well as, you know, the countries trying to support it, to see all of these Jewish organizations speaking out against Israeli apartheid, speaking out against Israeli genocide. If not now, org. Not in Our Name, you know, Jewish Voices for Peace, Independent Jewish Voices, like all these organizations filled with, like, you know, brave, courageous Jewish people who are directly saying that our religion, our people, our ethnicity is being hijacked and used by white supremacists to try and push this horrifying regime, and honestly, trying to pacify any liberal along the way who might have opposition to it, who might otherwise be like, in any other condition, I would see this for the horrifying reality that it is, but right now, I can't. Normally, it would make so much sense. I oppose colonialism. I oppose imperialism. I oppose the mass collective punishment of children. I oppose children being punished through starvation, through bombing, through the depletion of their medical systems. I oppose the bombing of schools. I oppose the bombing of hospitals. I oppose the bombing of orphanages. None of these seem controversial at all, but now I've got to twist every single aspect of what I think about the world to suddenly be like, yeah, normally I would oppose bombing hospitals, but underneath are a terrorist cell, a terrorist organization or tunnel, or there's a Hamas something there. And, well, yeah, you shouldn't bomb a school or an orphanage, but apparently it's being used as a headquarter or a location for some kind of terrorist cell underneath. Hamas is so insidious and evil, and normally I would be really disgusted at the idea of someone sniping children, like just shooting them in the face. That to me would be horrifying, abhorrent, one of the worst things I could think of. But that person was standing in front of a Hamas fighter who was using them as a human shield. So I don't know, like maybe in that one execution, they saved a bunch of other people who that Hamas fighter was then going to use as human shields. I don't know. Like the whole thing has to be so grotesquely twisted to where we're all collectively spewing this lie over and over and over, telling each other that it's okay not to be revolted by this, and also getting angry at people who are. Like getting mad at students, getting mad at student protesters, getting mad at kids who saw through all this bullshit. That was the thing, right? Like all the student protesters, they weren't buying the propaganda or the lies. Maybe they hadn't had enough of their lifetime of it for it to truly sink in, but they were just like, no, Dad, I can see it. It's on the TikTok. I see it. This looks, what you told me is the worst thing humans can do. That's happening right now. I see it. You can't lie about this. I can't sit here and tell you that, like, this is, it's not okay. No, I'm not gonna hope brunch comes around. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, well, they do have a right to defend themselves. Terrorism's bad. They're getting rid of the terrorism, and it's about time someone got rid of those terrorists. Yeah, I don't need to see the drone footage. It looks really bad. Yeah, I know, depleted. Yeah, well, yes, okay, fine. This does look a lot like what I thought it looks like when you drop a nuke on somewhere. What's that? Oh, they've dropped the equivalent of 3 nuclear bombs. Wow, okay, so that's a lot of destruction on one of the most densely populated areas in the entire world. A small little strip filled with just 2 million people squished into that tiny little area, and they've just been non-stop dropping 2,000-pound bombs. Wow, 2,000 pounds on the same concentrated area, just dropping them one after the other. That's pretty fucked up. That's a lot of bombs to be dropping on that. How would they even know? Oh, AI systems. They're using AI systems. What? Daddy's home. That's what it's fucking called. Oh, it's so that they can do the maximum casualties and kill the most amount of family members by knowing exactly when they're concentrated into a singular area. Wow, that's worse than anything Black Mirror could have thought up, but that's what's happening with our tax dollars. No, that's not okay. That's never going to be normal. I'm not going to just like sit back and ignore this shit. Like, and students weren't. That's why, like, it wasn't just one university. It was the universities. It was an entire movement across the entire planet. Like, all the students around the world were like, fuck you adults. What's wrong with you? Are you all mad? Have you all gone mad? How can you on one end say this is somehow securing freedom, spreading democracy, ensuring our, like, okay, fine. This shit worked on y'all. It worked on y'all post 9/11, I guess. You were able to drink the Kool-Aid and enjoy just the mass slaughter of a whole bunch of brown kids because you thought it was somehow noble, that you thought you were somehow changing the world or somehow protecting American freedom and value, but we're not buying that shit. We have better tech now. We can see it. We see it as it's like, this is a live stream. I can see right now the war crimes taking place, caught in 4K. No, I'm not buying that shit. I'm not going to sit back and accept it. And boom, those are the people who get fucking police resistance, gassing. And now they're the same people, by the way, the international students in Canada and the US. Who do you think is getting deported? Who's the first on the docket? Trump is going right after them. And if you think, oh no, the liberals will save us, no, the liberal government that's still in power in Canada is going after them as well. Yes, they're like, well, I mean, hey, just because you are an immigrant student to this country doesn't give you the right to oppose genocide. You don't get that right. No, the Canadians barely get that right. American citizens barely get that right. You know?
$100 to a Palestinian charity after the war started.
Hey, Ethan Klein, thank you for the dono. Ethan Klein gave $6,500. My goat. Thank you, Ethan.
Condemned Netanyahu as a war criminal. They're led by Netanyahu, who should resign in disgrace and go to prison for being a war criminal. Called the West Bank settlements an abomination. Settlers in the West Bank are religious zealots. They're monsters. They're genocidal. I've even said the West Bank settlers are valid military targets. When you talk about like colonial settlers and stuff, like that's what's actually happening in the West Bank right now. And these people are more or less.
Isaac SN, thank you for the $4.99 and the other $4.99 donos. I appreciate both of them. They were carrying out false flag attacks on Iraqi Jewish folk, and they sold the tensions in immigration. I appreciate that donation as well. Thank you.
It's valid military targets, in my opinion. My only crime is wanting a two-state solution instead of one, and thinking it's not okay to kill Israeli civilians. That's it. That's why they're calling me a Nazi Zionist. And because of Hasan and others spreading this
How are you making this all about yourself? Jesus. And then the communities were mean to me. Look at it. I got his chat on screen here, y'all. Caught you. Look at the mean things they're all saying. And okay, well, this one's someone else's chat. This Frogan. You see all the mean things the Frogan character was saying about me.
I don't have an issue with them, let's just say. But they are a terrorist organization. Like they're designated. They are designated by the American state as a terrorist organization.
I do not like them then.
Well,
he is regarded as a pretty brilliant person in terms of like everything that he's done.
Then I saw clips like this where Hasan is explaining how he's hiding his power level to funnel in normies into radicalization.
I think that in the short term, in order to combat against that, you have to advocate for a much lighter form of propaganda. You want America, in the way that I feel about it, and if you want America to get out of the way for places with more revolutionary potential to do what they would normally do, I think that, you know, one thing you have to do is advocate for a lighter form, while simultaneously still doing agitated propaganda that goes beyond, you know, social democratic idea.
I just wanted to like put emphasis on the exact point of the so-called radicalization funnel, where, for example, Hasan and JT catch them while they're young, as they say, and then they start looking into the.
Hasan talked to them one time and he's guilty. Well, I mean, I don't know. Was the fedora hat guy also on this show? Like, I know, obviously this is you Gopnik. Second thought, Hakeem, I assume, on their podcast together.
New idea, etc., and then move forwards through the funnel, get more and more informed, get more and more radicalized. Now, you do your part in the funnel for the cause, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. You're doing, in my modest opinion, a great thing for the cause.
Now listen to Hasan during our very first conversation lie to me about how he's a social democrat to hide his power level.
We should
So just so we're clear, for anyone who doesn't know, hiding your power levels is a term that's used by the alt-right because they literally have to do that. A lot of their tactics, especially under Richard Spencer, were about hiding who they truly were, public-facing, because no one likes Nazis. No one should like Nazis. After all, Nazis are horrible, horrifying human beings, and their philosophy, ideology needs to be destroyed. And so for the Nazis, the neo-Nazis, the Ku Klux Klanners, the white nationalists, the gripers, the neo-reactionaries, all those pieces of shit, all the piss of the internet, for them to be able to operate in like, you know, front-facing and without getting deplatformed everywhere, they were supposed to hide their power levels, you know, taking right from Dragon Ball Z, and pretend in the open to try and pill people, red pill people specifically. You would do it through irony, through shit posting, through memes, through Pepe the Frogs, and you would just walk around the whole time being like, hey, it's not an okay power symbol. This is not, it's a joke. It's kek. It's lol. I want to return to Kekistan. This is not me drinking milk because I'm a white supremacist. I'm doing it because it's benign. This is not me using the cloud emoji because this is like, you know, actually something that I believe in. It's benign. It's jokes. Hey, by the way, do you all know about the Jewish question? And then you keep pushing and pushing and pushing until you actually can spread vile anti-Semitism, horrifying racism, all that kind of shit, and recruit people into your way of thinking. To then accuse all of that on like Hasan as someone who hid his power levels because he probably didn't openly tell him, I'm basically Karl Marx, but I call myself Karl Max because I Max left, and that's what I'm about. And I was like, wait, you didn't tell me that day one. I thought you were a well-to-do lib, a Democrat who was kind of left-leaning, who voted for the Democrats. What is all this about? I should have known.
Move towards a Sweden-style economy or a Norway-style economy, which would be a social democracy.
You have to advocate for a much lighter form of propaganda.
With robust social safety nets.
Cold radicalization funnel, catch them while they're young, as they say.
And protections for workers, like higher unionization rates.
Okay, this is funny. I just mean how bad it is. I genuinely thought like, oh man, he's going hard. He's doing the content nuke, something of like internet lore. He's done very powerful ones against Keemstar where he did a deep dive into his like shady past and exposed things other people might not know, and it's really going to be damaging. And then all of a sudden it's like he's doing one on Hasan. I thought everyone already knew his controversies. You guys did a show together. You must already know what he's about. Oh no, here it comes. And it's actually like it's this bad. It's like he hid his power levels. He didn't tell me that he was trying to indoctrinate people. Here's a random podcast that he appeared on once, but listen to the points they're saying, not on an episode that he's there on. And now I'm going to associate them with the things that I think he's trying to say here, where he's trying to indoctrinate youth into the CCP, trying to become them to be like what, Chinese communists? Is that it? Or like, you know, old school ones? Does he want to revitalize the USSR? Is he Stalin for time? What's going on?
Form while simultaneously still doing agitated propaganda that goes beyond social democratic ideas.
Hell, he's proclaimed it loudly that he is a self-described propagandist.
I'm a propagandist.
Well, no,
for the record.
No, I'm not calling
I'm a propagandist.
I'm just saying. I'm going to play you.
I'm saying I am.
Okay, well then,
I'm saying I am. Before you even play it.
A propagandist is much.
No, he's being honest. Jesus Christ, so am I. But it's not as if like I sit here and I take programming code and or pay from any government or government official or company. But I am for sale, by the way. If you are looking to basically make your words go into this brain and then out this microphone, contact me. We can see what we can see. But no, it's that I have a very clear agenda. I am biased. This is an opinion piece. I'm an entertainer on the internet. I hate the far right. I hate Nazis. I hate white supremacy. I hate homophobia. I hate patriarchy. I hate all that shit. And yeah, I'm trying to defeat it. I'm trying to see it destroyed. So part of that is going to be me and giving my spin on the day in a way in which I'm trying to make other people see the light as well. But I'm also going to be honest about it. I'm not going to sit there and pretend to you that I'm a journalism man, that I do the journal, that I'm newsman, that I am appropriately telling you the news, and that's why you have to trust me, your number one source. No, I'm not your number one source in news.
More than someone with a bias. It's someone who knowingly lies to further their political agenda.
And then I had a terrifying vision. Had I been duped? Was Hasan presenting a Trojan horse to my community, where he was just a left-leaning Democrat like myself, and as he said in the previous video, was funneling them into radicalization and turning them against me?
Liberals are some of the easiest to manipulate people on the fucking planet, dude.
I learned how much he hates liberals.
Dude, I hate liberals, dude. I hate them. I hate them so viciously.
Did he secretly despise me this whole time?
I'm sorry, dude. I hate liberals so much.
Did this man sit next to me for 2 years and pretend to be my friend?
Dude, liberals are a burden on this planet, dude.
Yeah, wait, sorry, what? Does he think liberal is a slur? I mean, it is for lefties. But wait, what's going on here?
Liberals are the most like scummy, vile, fucking idiots. Liberals are
Don't trust the liberals. They will betray you.
I mean, that's Patrick Stewart. He would never lie to anybody. I believe that man more than I believe anyone else who we've heard from today. I'm going to trust Patrick Stewart on this.
incredibly stupid. I hate these petulant liberals, dumb fucking liberals.
What else is someone this sociopathic capable of?
Liberals are some of the easiest to manipulate people on the fucking planet.
Was I being manipulated?
Wait, this is real. This is what I would make if I was making a parody video about this. If I was pretending to be Ethan making a video about Hasan, this is exactly what I would do. It would be this kind of choice of music from the audio blocks like catalog. It would be these shots. It would be this fucking framing. I'm like, but he uses the term liberal, almost like he doesn't like the liberals. How could a man this strange truly like? But this is real life. It's real life.
That was my fear anyway. Regardless of his true beliefs, that broke my trust in him, and I pretty much ended the show immediately. And I felt guilty for my participation in mainstreaming Hasan. And for that, I apologize. I should have done more research, and I should have looked more deeply into who I was getting in bed with before they gave me chlamydia. Sorry, Hila. Over the past year since the show ended, I continue to watch Hasan platform, promote, and propagandize terrorist organizations. And every time it happened on Twitch, I would say, man, this time surely he went too far and someone's got to do something. But as the time went on, nothing happened and his views got more and more radical and more disturbing. I feel it's my obligation after mainstreaming someone like Hasan to take this on. And so it was war. Nuclear war.
No, it wasn't. Because guess what? You were trying for so long and you didn't get any fucking bites on the bait. The bait was thrown out there fucking daily. Eventually you were throwing buckets of chum and you were doing everything in your power, going on fucking r/Destiny, seeing what DGG was digging up about Hasan, constantly being like, this is kind of fucked up, isn't it? Hasan here interviewing what I believe to be a Houthi pirate. Ooh, that's inappropriate, isn't it? Well, I don't know. Maybe he agrees with their beliefs. What are the beliefs in question? Genocide bad? That Yemenis children shouldn't starve to death? Well, that's a little strange, isn't it? Like just day after day in, over and over and over again, we got to be able at some point to get him mad. And he, for the most part, was avoiding it. Like, you know, for a person who was getting a daily video put out, or a daily snipe, or a daily Instagram story or Twitter post, and it was always just like, woe is me, oh my god, I have to center this whole thing around me, this is my drama, it's so sad that Hasan won't notice me and he won't take it. Like, eventually, yeah, I think there was a breaking point. He started responding. The responses turned into more responses that instantly inflamed Destiny's community, that were like, oh my god, there's yet another big creator who might be able to take down Hasan. I'm going to remind everybody, though, in the midst of all this, you know what's so supremely fucked is, like, this is all going down when there is so much more important shit in the world. I know, like, it's like, Lance, okay, fine, hypocrisy much. You're the one covering it right now. I'm just saying, if I had the audience of either of these people, right? Like, you have an audience where there's like 20,000, 40,000 people watching you live, and you have like stream in, stream out. Granted, fine, you normally do trash. You're a trash. You want to do comedy or drama or just YouTube slop. That's what you're all known about. But then you want to turn this into a cause. You want to be like, you know what's really important? I can't sit by anymore here as a massive content creator. I know, of flaming hot trash, but that doesn't change this. I need to tell everyone and make this my cause. This guy you see on camera right here in the corner, that's my cause. My cause is Hasanabi. He is the biggest threat to youth today. He's the biggest damaging thing out there, right, that I can think of anyway. There's nothing really else going on, I think, that's really maybe permeating people or culture or affecting children. Never mind the election that's coming up. Right now, what's important is that we concentrate all of our efforts on taking this guy down. His crime, while saying genocide bad on a pretty regular basis, and then, you know, fundraising for Palestinians, bringing up attention to the Palestinian cause and plight, and doing that on a very large scale, and doing creators for Palestine and getting more people interested in. But never mind all that. What we need to do is we need to take him down. We need to start pointing out how he is actually a vile anti-Semite. He's been promoting anti-Semitism on the platform. We need to make sure that any reporter that doesn't actually skew the way we like the story to skew is going to be going on Kotaku or other stuff. Email campaigns. People should know about this. More of you should be going out. More of you should be writing to the Twitch CEOs, to the Twitch staff, to Twitch support, asking, why hasn't this man been taken down, for some of the scariest and horrifying things. This stuff was all over like DGG. This was before, by the way, they found out that their daddy was a massive sex criminal. But back in the day, this was all over DGG, and this is all over all these other subreddits, and all these people are now taking time out of their day to canvas to get Hasan taken down. Like, criticize the fuck out of this man. No one should be above reprieve. Any massive major streamer, yeah, if you have a problem with his take, if you don't like that he said a thing, call him out on it. But to make this a cause, is this the most important thing of all the other shit that is going down right now? Should we not, especially if we're talking about, you know, maybe war crimes, organizing our audiences to do other shit, write to their politicians, canvass to their politicians, tell them that they want to put an end to this because it looks like there's an election just around the corner, and the other guy, Donald Trump, he seems really fucked up and bad. But at the same time, the Democrats don't seem to be taking this seriously, that if they don't fucking stop this entire support of the genocide that is taking place, they can't get support that they need from youth, from polling, from really crucial demographics in a lot of swing states. It would be absolutely crucial of them to actually take this seriously and listen to the, again, hundreds of thousands of people trying to tell them, for the love of God, stop. Like, if you want to defeat Trump, stop, do this. Not only because it's moral, not only because like it's the legal thing you're supposed to do under your own laws, is to stop giving funds and arms to a country committing genocide, doing war crimes. Stop that. But guess what? You're not going to do that, are you? We're going to do email campaigns about fucking Hasan Piker, the streamer. And then as soon as the election's over, as soon as Donald Trump wins, and as soon as it's like this wasn't a stolen election in the traditional sense, gerrymandering for sure, voter suppression, allowing black people or indigenous people to vote is something that's just part and parcel with the Republicans, but that's not considered fraudulent elections. That's just legally doing what they do in America. But guess what? Donald Trump came into power. He's in power now, and he's just as fucking, if not much worse already, on this issue. It wasn't long before everyone was like, oh my God, he's a disaster. Well, yeah, who you gonna blame? Who's your blah, blah, blah. It's like, what a waste of time then. What an enormous waste of time. Like, there's so many different directions, people. This is honestly one of the reasons why I've kind of tried to stay away from the entire h3h3 Hasan drama, because it just seemed like an endless void or pit that you would go down and distract everybody from what was really the issue here. Like, Ethan has managed to put it and make it about himself and his shows and his relationships and getting people to get mad at another content creator. All that energy, all that time, all the hours spent making this content nuke could have been done on a content nuke of Benjamin fucking Netanyahu. Where's the measured response for Benjamin Netanyahu? Where's the manifesto of Benjamin Netanyahu or his regime or of the Knesset or of all the war crimes or their direct association with the military-industrial complex in the United States? Where are those videos? And this is not just a call out, by the way, of the libs. This is a call out of everyone on YouTube, leftists included. What was the point of BreadTube when one of the biggest fucking, you know, moments of our generation occurs and you all have voices and platforms and hundreds of thousands of viewers, and the only videos I see are like Sean did it, and then there's barely any other. There's people who have millions of fucking subs and there's no videos on this. There is no measured response. There is no content nuke. There is no, hey, by the way, this is really fucked up. We should probably direct a lot of our attention onto this issue right now. Seems to be kind of the galvanizing and defining moment of our generation. Might be a moment for us to actually take a little bit seriously. No, it's all right. Another video on a topic that doesn't really concern this. Cool. Here we go. Another moment to talk about the drama.
And before you, following the footsteps of intellectual giants,
One thing we've
as
been hearing for
nothing
weeks.
but a simple man.
Now,
A simple man who understands right from wrong.
Yeah.
I
You're an
sometimes
important,
that
influential voice to a lot of people.
I'm an idiot, I'm a dumb bimbo, I don't know what I'm talking about.
And there are some things
I've gotten dumb tapings and things. It's not. As a matter of fact, I seek it out because I make content out of it. I think it's funny and fun.
And there are baby settlers as well.
Can you just shut the fuck up, bloodthirsty, violent stuff?
This is so inappropriate. And it's the intro? I've only made it to the intro? Oh my God. I don't get how no one told you at any point to stop. How? Like, I get, like, there are people who obviously on some level were like, oh, this is good. That'll show them. That'll show everybody. Show them what we really care about, what we should focus our energy on.
ExpressVPN.
Oh my God. There's an ad read? No! No! Oh God!
Here's the thing, with help from people like Hasan, terrorism is like in the eyes of the beholder, right? They're not terrorists, they're...
See, this is why people like Trump are in total and complete power. Despite being as ridiculous as they are, you know, like as cringe as Elon Musk is, as horrifying as Donald Trump is, serial rapist and fucking, you know, a sentient 4chan post, they're still in complete power in the United States, and I'd say by proxy the world now, because it's this. It's that, like, the well-to-do liberals on the other end are way too busy shooting left, shooting at people without power, attacking people without power, groups without power, marginalized groups. It's like, hey, by the way, of all the communities that you're going after right now, Muslims, going after Arab streamers and Arab posters and Muslim posters and people in the United States who don't really have a lot of structural and material power within the U.S., especially to try and stop some of the horrifying crimes and atrocities that the U.S. facilitates. So when they speak up about that, are you going to go after them, or are you going to ignore what they're speaking about and then also go after those who are currently in power, with structural power, with material power, who control the United States government, who control all branches of the U.S. government, including the judiciary, across the board, top to bottom? It's the right. The far right are now in complete and total power. But nah, they just keep on going after the groups without fucking any material strength in the U.S. Just keep doing it. And meanwhile, what does, you know, Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro or Tim Pool or Crowder or any of them really have to do if on the other end the liberals are just continuously attacking left? It's like, well, yeah, I know they're bad over there, but what about this?
Go ahead. Go ahead. He knows. Freedom fighters, guys. We are fighting for freedom. What about the rapes and the murders? Don't mention that. What's wrong with you? And another one. The resistance isn't
not
perfect. Right? You gotta crack some eggs, man. Hasan, you know socialism didn't buy you that car.
If I knew that this is what communism would be in 2024, I wouldn't have bothered with this shit. Really. Abort is the symbol of the capitalist excess. What the fuck is he thinking? You guys actually believe this idiot is a socialist? Forget our religion. Hasan is the opiate of the masses. Straight to the gulag for anyone soft to this idiot.
This is just really going to convince a lot of people that your beliefs are super, super edgy, cool, and normal. Like, yeah, I didn't know how I felt about that Ethan Klein guy. Then I watched Content Nuke with Hasan Piker. And boy, it's definitely hinged. Yep, if there's one word I can use to describe it, it's hinged. Hinged, oh, it is just nailed down. It is hinged.
Or that designer dog.
This breed's stunning fluffy coat comes with a price. Chow Chows shed
fuck
all
no.
year.
Very cute, by the way, but those are expensive. The point is, we have the biggest political streamer on our platform that is...
The Ethan camp is cringe. It's so bad. Lance, the homo trans lover. I was like, was that meant to be an insult? All these things that I hate, you gotta hate too. I hate gays. I hate trans people. Therefore, I use them as insults. I'm sorry, dude. Your words have no power here. I don't think those are bad things. Yeah, cool. I'm gonna have to ban you though, because I don't think you have anything to contribute to the conversation. Bye. Hey, Sam Brosher. Thank you. I appreciate it. Very, very generous donation of you. Is this guy on TV right-leaning comedian? Let me guess. Huge platform and abuses his audience? No, there's absolutely no evidence that Ethan Klein has been accused of by anybody, I believe, of physically abusing his audience. But he is pushing some really, I would say, disgusting-ass beliefs on a show that, you know, with a platform like his, you could do a lot of good. And unfortunately, for years, he did a lot of bad. A lot of bad. I mean, if you look at just the cycle of him having Jordan Peterson on, buying into Jordan Peterson's weird rapist kind of like, oh, bloody hell, you know, men are conquerors, they need to take, and then women have to be subjugated by man, and all this other shit like that. Like, he sucked. He's like part of the edgelord era of the internet, who had one of the very few, and there's not a lot of them, but very few moments of realization. And I guess like a lot of libs, it was Black Lives Matter the second time. And that was also, I guess, under the Trump administration. But that time where even people as douchebag as fucking, what's the name of those two brothers that aren't going to box each other. Jake Paul. Yeah, I think it was Jake Paul. Even people as douchebaggy as Jake Paul were able at that moment in time to recognize something's fucked up, because all of a sudden they were like, why are all these people protesting on the street? And not just black people, white people too. What are they all protesting about? It's probably about all the police violence. What are you talking about, the police violence? Police are violent to everybody. Yeah, but I mean, if you look at it, the police actually kill about 3 times more black people than they kill white people. Oh, that's fucked up. No, I didn't know about that. Yeah, and I mean, and a lot of times it's in communities where they're over-policed and there's a lot of poverty, which is why they probably try to over-police them in those communities, but they end up causing a lot of damage and harm towards black communities. And like, in this case, it's pretty fucking, you know, undeniable that the guy here, Derek Chauvin, just committed a murder out in open. Like, he just basically killed a guy on the street, and we're supposed to accept that as just being okay because he's got a badge on, and then the other people with badges are protecting him. And then now the right is trying to say that, like, it's not actually the strangulation that's killing him, it's the fact that the guy was on fentanyl. But I'll be honest, like, you know, everyone uses drugs, and so some people want to get high, they don't probably want to die by a police officer, so that's bad. All this culminates to these protests are taking place, and we see Ethan Klein, and he does a whole episode where he's like, I have realized for the first time, you know, perhaps that I have benefited from having white skin and living in a life where I didn't get racialized in the same way. And even though I have been persecuted perhaps for being Jewish, it's certainly really fucked up that this is happening to black people, and I want to take a stance. And all of a sudden he starts doing some learning. This is good. We encourage that. It's great to do learning, and it's great to suddenly try and recognize, hey, by the way, maybe there is something in this whole, you know, racial oppression stuff that people who are marginalized have been trying to tell white people forever. That's actually a good thing if more white people recognize that, and we're like, that's actually really bad. We shouldn't have a society that works this way. But then that goes down this pathway of, like, he starts calling out Jordan Peterson. He does the whole Sam Cedar, you know, prank on whatchamacallit, Steven Crowder, and then that moves its way into he starts interacting with Hasan, and then him and Hasan start a show together. Things just got to a point where the schism, as much as he wants to try and say that it's because of other things, that it's because of his community is really toxic, or I think that he's secretly working for the CCP, or I think that he's actually a communist and he's been a secret hidden commie this whole time, when it gets down to it, at its like actual core, this was a schism that started, in his own words, after October 7th. After the attack done by Hamas, all of a sudden the subsequent genocidal actions of the Israeli government, and trying to continuously defend them and push up against the fact that Hasan, like most of the rest of the world, was disgusted, reviled, and horrified by what Israel was doing to Palestine, that just became too much. It's just like we at that point, our beliefs were incompatible. We couldn't continue, you know?
Influencing media and influencing young kids everywhere. If we can normalize terrorism, if we could rebrand it, then fuck the U.S. Navy. You know how much those guys don't pay shit. You see the Army ads on Twitch? The Army is fucking broke, dude. I'll tell you who loves America more than the Army. Qatar. Well, I don't know if love's the right word, though. They're paying more. Good CPMs coming out of Qatar. But you kids love anime, right? Can't get enough of it. I mean, look at what we've already done with Hasan. You're the fucking man, dude. Happy birthday again, man.
Exhibits,
we got a big party for you after. No, don't do it. Let's wait, because we got a big party and a cake and everything for you after in the back. The prostitutes, too. Don't tell anyone. That's part of the past.
Wow. This is unhinged. I don't know where the nuke comes in. I guess it's basically putting it all into a single video, but it's the same points you've been hearing nonstop about Hasan is a terrorist. He's a terrorist sympathizer. He interviewed terrorists. He's a bad dude.
Look what we've done already. This Houthi pirate. I mean, who are you kidding? This guy's a fucking terrorist. He literally tweeting out he wants to kill Jews and put their heads on pikes. And somehow, not somehow, because of his genius, we have rebranded the Houthi fucking pirates, the Houthi terrorist organization. Yeah, the Islamic fundamentalists. Death to America, curse upon the Jews. That's right. That's the Jolly Roger of this man here. None other than Monkey D. Luffy. So let's get out there, guys. And let's make 2025 our biggest year, guys. Come on, guys. The resistance isn't perfect. The resistance isn't perfect. Yeah, let's get them. If you want to know where on the political spectrum Hasan...
By the way, the whole idea of the resistance isn't perfect doesn't change at all. Like, all of that could be true, that this was a terrorist soldier who has engaged in horrifying atrocities in his lifetime as a pirate for Yemen, which, again, not basing that on any reality. That doesn't change the fact that apartheid's bad or genocide is bad, that the genocide the Palestinians are experiencing or people who are trying to take up arms in order to oppose that. Like, you're never going to have a perfect victim, you know? The conservatives do the exact same thing that the liberals are doing here. Both of them are just like, why in the world would you ever support? Why would you ever take time out of your day to support people who are, trying to kill gays? Why would you do that? You know they kill gays in Palestine. They behead them. They throw them off buildings. And it's like, your opposition to genocide or apartheid shouldn't rest within your own personal judgments of the people experiencing it. Like, honestly, and there's no example that's going to top that.
Take a look at a recent media analysis by Ad Fonte, which rated Hasan as the most extreme left-wing, untrustworthy media source on the internet. And to give you an idea, he is opposite of InfoWars. Now,
wait, where am I? I don't even rank. Guess I'm just too real. I'm off the board, baby. You can't pin me down. You never know where I land. Sometimes I'm over here, and then other days I'm there. I don't have to make a choice. I can be anywhere I need to be. Useful Idiots is down there. Tony Michaels. Rev Left Radio. I recognize them. And then as we go up here, Comic Sans. Okay. Is that the font or the show? Daily Beast, Raw Story, The Stranger, New Politics. Reveal, Radio Hour, and as we get to the very top, Pew Research and USA Facts are basically as serious as it gets. Oh, and then Bellingcat, just for good measure. Right, almost perfectly center. Where's Lex Friedman? Lex Friedman's down here. Selective, incomplete, unfair persuasion, propaganda, or other issues. Okay, but you don't get right-wing bias? Like, the center should be here, right? Shouldn't the center be down this line? Why in the world is he on the left side? That doesn't make sense. I don't know if this is accurate.
and frankly, the callous disregard for the well-being of the literal hostages is shocking, even for somebody that loves terrorists.
That's so funny. Is there a KFC there? They're everywhere. I don't think there's a KFC in Yemen, dog.
He says they have two.
Oh, they do have KFC in Yemen? That's crazy. Okay, that's sick.
Is there a KFC in Yemen? No way, dude! Holy fuck! There's a KFC in Yemen! He's just like us!
Does he know what One Piece is?
Oh, what if he's been watching it since he was a kid.
Be glad you dodged the cringe bomb. What was the cringe? Like, this whole thing is a cringe bomb. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand the mocking Hasan for this interview in the exact same way that was like, when is there anything new in this video, or is it just the exact same talking points that I've seen all over Reddit for the last like fucking year?
No way!
Yeah,
that's sick. Yes, that's fire. That's so fire. Oh my god, we think the Houthi.
The crew was released after the ceasefire. They hung out. Yeah, I saw that. Do you have a link to it? If you can play me a link, maybe. I mean, I don't even know if this thing would be worth someone who does have the time to go piece by piece to be like, okay, so here's what's factually incorrect. This actually is taken from a headline that the only source is available from this. It's a dubious and non-reputable source. This here is actually falsifiable. This is actually something that didn't happen.
Ansar Allah is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
You guys all remember Luffy's flag, right? Now, I'm only halfway through that show, so maybe I just haven't come to it yet. But I do not remember Luffy's flag looking like this. Predictably, there was some blowback.
So what, just terrorist bad? First off, do you have evidence, direct evidence, that he was actually, a fighter that was part of the crew that was like directly pointing guns at people's faces, and that's exactly what that person did? Was it like, I agree with the take that should you not interview people? Because again, we interview fucking, it's not a crime to interview an IDF soldier on your Twitch stream or on your YouTube channel or something like that. Should you not be able to interview, say, Palestinians who are undergoing the oppression of IDF people? Should you not be able to interview people in Yemen who may have said that they're taking up arms to try and oppose Israel and hear what their points of view are, or listen to their stories? If the whole thing is that like you were too buddy-buddy, you were too cozy, the two of you were too two frenzies, like I can't believe that you were doing that and like not aggressively calling him out on like every single aspect of what he stands for, then like what the fuck are we doing here? Hey, what up, Central? The Ethan video is just an idea propaganda video at this point. What can you say? I mean, like, I'm hoping for something new. It's because, like, genuinely, when are we getting to a single piece? Like, this feels like the entire year's worth of shit that was thrown at most content creators, all the way down, by the way. It's like every single person who doesn't condemn Hasan is a supporter of terrorism. Every single person who doesn't condemn Hasan is a Hamas. And that's basically the new rules passed on from the top.
after this interview, and Hasan went immediately into damage control to rewrite history.
He said that he was just simply a Yemeni person and not a Houthi. Yeah, I mean, we don't even know if he's a Houthi or not. He's a teenager in Yemen. The dude is neither a Houthi, nor a terrorist, nor a pirate, is not a Houthi rebel. They didn't fucking call him a Houthi either. You want to know why? Because he's not one. He's not a Houthi himself. He's not a pirate, but you know, I don't think he's not a pirate. He has reiterated the position that he is not a Houthi. Trust me, bro, I'm not Houthi. Be for real. You sucked him off the entire stream. Not even a Houthi militant or anything like that. When I interviewed the dude who they still to this day call a Houthi terrorist, Tim Houthi's not even a fucking Houthi. I thought he wasn't a Houthi because he's not. No, he was just some fucking Yemeni TikToker. Random fucking Yemeni teenager. Didn't you brand it as him being a Houthi interview though? Bro, are we about to have a Houthi rebel on stream? Yes, brother. What do you mean?
All right, let's just take Hasan's word for it and assume, okay, this kid is not a Houthi rebel. He's just some ordinary Yemen teenager. Let's go ahead and take a look at his social media and see if that lines up.
All right, let's see here. Tel Aviv will burn in the coming hours. Ready for sacrifice and eager for martyrdom. Maybe he's talking about football? Here he is singing a song with the words, "Do you threaten us with what we are waiting for, son of a Jew?" The meaning of Houthi is a title, and it's not something to fear, but for the Jews. They are very afraid of this title. The execution we will carry out on all Zionists, with the lovely depiction of a man impaled through his asshole and out of his mouth with a pike, or how Hasan likes to say it, a pike for a cut. Okay, why would he retweet this article called "Houthis use social media to boost global prominence and support"? Israel falls. Wait for the new operation in Tel Aviv. The Jaffa drone, which no Israeli defense can stop. The ships we bombed and sank.
See, the thing about all this is that, like, how much time has been taken so far to describe what is taking place in Yemen and what has been happening under Yemen for years, especially under the fucking direct influence and provisional military equipment of the United States of America, what Saudi Arabia has been doing, how long there has been a mass starvation of children in that country, and what it may be like to grow up in those fucking conditions where, you know, you don't have a voice, there is no Twitch streams, there is no going on the internet and then suddenly talking about how, yeah, it does really suck not having food every single day. Don't know what the blockade is caused by, but probably shouldn't look too into that. Like, not a peep. But is it that at this moment in time, Hasan has interviewed a horrifying terrorist, and he has directly aligned himself with the beliefs of that person and endorsed every single thing he's ever done by speaking to him in the first place, you know? Like, it's such a skewed, fucked up view of the world. Like, from, it doesn't matter if it's happening locally, if it's like attacking just like, you know, the other American streamers who happen to be Arab or Muslim on the platform. It's doing it on the same level in geopolitics, where these are people who are dramatically disenfranchised and underpowered compared to the might of the US empire or its allies like Saudi Arabia, who might be enacting horrifying crimes and atrocities upon their lands. And then it's like always, like, rather than framing it in such a way where you should understand how the world works though, and what it's like to be an American superstar. You're a rich ass celebrity. You make millions and millions of dollars a year. You have mansions. You have fucking whatever you want in life. And then to sit there and be like, because you spoke to this kid, you too are a terrorist. I'm going to make a fucking content nuke so all the rest of the world learns this, so all the rest of the world can see how damaging and vile you truly are.
The red arrow is supposed to be a cool military Hamas thing. This is a butt plug. Just saying. To every Zionist, I will put this into your stomach. And let me state the obvious. Jew and Zionist is clearly interchangeable to this guy. Okay, but hating Jews doesn't make you a Houthi. Are you a soldier? Yes. That seems pretty definitive. You know what makes you a Houthi? Being a Houthi. At least one of the two of them is being honest about it.
No way!
Yeah.
That's sick. Yes, yes. That's fire. And that's so fire. Oh my god. We think the Houthis is doing what Luffy would do.
So this is it? I don't know if this shit would have, maybe it would have, maybe like in the 2010s, this degree of fucking ridiculous. Apparently this is just what passes now for the takedown of Hasanabi. I'm shocked.
How can you claim to actually care about this genocide when you're willing to so cynically exploit it to sidestep any criticism? What a bigot. Before we move on, Hasan has one final taste of idiocy for us all to enjoy.
Now this kid is like, I think he was like 19 at the time when I talked to him. Which means that for most of his life, he has withstood genocide, right? Like he is a person whose only experience is like, it's literally like talking to fucking Anne Frank, basically, okay? Being able to talk to Anne Frank in real time.
To quote Anne Frank, I keep my ideals because in spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at...
Forbes. Surprising fact. Rashid said that he was only 19 years old, and many commenters on social media have compared his appearance to the American actor Timothée Chalamet, jokingly referring to him as Timothy Chalamet. After a 9-year long civil war that began in 2014, Yemen's median age is only 21.6, according to the statistics from the U.S. State Department. Not things you're ever going to be heard, brought up in this entire segment, though. This is just about vilifying, Muslims, vilifying, Arabs, vilifying people in other countries who scare Americans, and, they're the scary terrorists. We got to keep talking about that. But that's probably something worth noting, right? Why is it the same problem with Palestinians too? Why is the median age so low? Why is it so shocking to some people to learn that the vast majority of the population is half kids? How does that happen? How does a population become a population of almost just only half children with such a low median age? Through a translator, Rashid told Piker on Twitch that the recent U.S. bombings in Yemen were nothing new for Yemenis. The Houthi-controlled part of northern Yemen was recently targeted in an intense bombing campaign by Saudi Arabia, which was supported by the U.S. beginning in 2015. They're almost honored to be targeted by the U.S. because they are confronting the U.S. head-on directly, the translator clarified.
Anne Frank continues to inspire generations of people because, in the face of a genocide that eventually took her and her entire family's life, except for her dad, she refused to give in to hate, malice, and violence. And then there's this guy, who would have killed Anne Frank if he ever met her.
You might think this is a sweet, innocent girl. Well, I'm happy to tell you guys we are working on a new edition just for you, Hasan. You should hear about the time she went roaming the streets of Berlin at night with a knife, slitting the...
This is just so profoundly fucked up to turn into a comedy sketch. Of all the things, with the topics you're talking about. Jesus Christ. I think on a certain level, you have to have disconnected yourself from the actual material in its totality to be able to be like, all right, so it's going to be appropriate to make jokes, and then we can try and, incorporate Anne Frank, the Anne Frank diaries. We'll try to incorporate, the Houthis. We'll incorporate, talking about the genocide of Palestinians. We'll talk about, a lot of the war crimes and atrocities that are taking place in that moment. But deep down, this has to be about how Hasan is promoting terrorism and then promoting terrorists. And that's what's really scary about the guy.
Throats of families, including children, babies, and the elderly. She's killed children, you guys. She even rapes people. She's just like Luffy. There is no other way to describe this than terrorist propaganda. Not only is he platforming terrorist propaganda, right, uncritically, he's participating in it. He's enhancing it.
The fuck are you talking about? Oh my god. Okay, well, yeah, this is deeply embarrassing. I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it is, but I think there's going to be a lot of long form probably takedowns that go piece by piece and point out all the factual inaccuracies of the whole terrorist segment. I assume it's still talking about terrorism this far in.
He watches their propaganda, but he's not going to deny the violent rapes that took place. That is way beyond the pale.
Battle for Twitch has lost its soul.
Reducing the premium subscription split from 70-30 to 50-50, which he reversed after Backlash. He also attempted to ban the size of sponsored logos on stream to 3% of the size of the screen, was also reversed after Backlash. So he's essentially achieved nothing. Oh, well, there is one thing. He actually laid off 900 employees. That one he did not take back. But here's where the trouble begins. He likes Hasan. He really likes Hasan.
Let me read you an excerpt from a recent interview Dan did. Not a gamer himself, Clancy mostly watches musicians or talk shows on Twitch. He particularly enjoys leftist political commentator Hasan Piker. I like the frankness and the bluntness. He's comfortable saying whatever he believes. Don't you think that might be part of the problem there, Danny boy?
Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th.
By speaking what he believes, he should be on Rumble with the other fringe.
Again, though, it's so fucked up to keep using that clip. You use that clip as if he's saying he doesn't care if people get raped. That's not the point of it. He's talking about how that shouldn't change whether or not you oppose genocide. That shouldn't change whether or not, again, it's the imperfect victim idea. But just, keep bringing that up and then keep platforming him alongside actual real anti-Semites like neo-Nazis like Nick Fuentes.
Radical political streamers. But no, not under Dan Clancy's watch.
This is the platform attempt from DGG. You know what else is fucked up about this? Is that how is this the topic you're concentrating on when so much of this is mined from the fucking the subreddit, and so much of this is mined from r/d Destiny and all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, at the same time, there is a lot of people, women, who are coming forward accusing that man of sex crimes. On one end, we have the guy who opposes genocide. That demands a content nuke. 2 hours, at least a 2-hour content nuke for that dangerous streamer who's trying to get people to think empathetically towards nations that are getting devastated by the U.S. empire. And on the other corner, we have a guy who is accused by multiple people of running what seems to be very serious sex crimes. He is recording them without their consent. He is distributing recordings of them without their consent. He is then, distributing that to another party and then denying that they have in fact been sending recordings to other people, that it has been a hack, and that's the reason why they're out there. All this fucked up shit like that, none of it. I wonder if that was why the edits had to take place. I wonder if that was like, version 1 and then, okay, maybe version 2, we got to change this. He doesn't care about the actual victims because he isn't involved. That's why he literally ignores tens of thousands of people being murdered for the crimes he has nothing to do with them. Yeah, I mean, like, that's I would say at the crux of all this, one of the most fucked up parts of it is ultimately, yeah, why in the world does this warrant so much of your time? Why would you center all
Dan
this?
has elevated him to the status of Twitch.
How far am I in? Well, I've skipped various parts where it just becomes redundant because it's like, Hasan is a terrorist. That's basically 20, 30, 40 minutes. Sorry, 50 minutes of the entire middle part is about how he's either a terrorist or supports terrorism. Then it moves into the fact that he apparently is completely fine with sexual assault if it is sexual assault towards Israeli victims. And then now we're getting into he's an anti-Semite who directly has partnerships, I guess, with Dan and the CEOs of Twitch to be able to promote anti-Semitism on the platform.
If you still have doubts, let this settle the matter. Just for clarity, Dan Clancy is the one filming and singing in this video.
Happy birthday to you.
What the fuck?
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, he's the 9th biggest streamer on the platform. Hey, by the way, you know else who's a really big streamer on this platform? XQC. XQC is one of the biggest streamers on this platform. You know what XQC was doing? Palling around with Donald Trump. The far-right authoritarian fucking fascist who's empowering the United States right now. That guy. Did you got a content nuke coming out on XQC? On him and Aiden Ross just being buddy-buddy? Being like, Trump's awesome kind of shit? Nah? No, yeah, we got to talk about how evil Hasan is. He opposes genocide. He opposes apartheid. He's a terrorist.
Bro, we're never beating the Hasan runs Twitch allegations after this. This is crazy. Oh my God.
Happy birthday, dear Hasan.
This is crazy.
Happy birthday to you.
Content meltdown. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to juxtapose this with the content nuke that just dropped on Destiny to show you what exactly it is when you are making content or trying to, if you're trying to call someone out on the internet, it's not something new. There's a lot of these, and there's going to be a lot of these. And by the way, I'm very pro this genre of trying to call people out, just specifically because there are a lot of massive streamers who develop huge egos and they don't even accept any pushback or criticism. It's good to be able to go through and be like, hey, by the way, we should have a serious talk about this person. I think for a long time, a lot of their abuse has gone unchecked. They are using their position of power to abuse their own fans and to abuse people within their inner circle. All right, fine. Yeah, it's good. If these social media companies aren't going to take them to task, I guess it has to be another creator who's going to do that. And then it's like, because he is a terrorist and he thinks Palestinians shouldn't be wiped off the face of the earth, and also is spreading anti-Semitism by continuously separating people criticizing what Israel is doing with criticizing all Jewish people, and that is why we have to talk about this. It's like, okay, well, this wasn't much of a nuke. I mean, this seems more like, I don't know, meltdown, fallout.
Happy birthday from Twitch, Hasan. Happy birthday from Twitch.
I've been looking around and I genuinely have never seen another video like this anywhere, where Dan Clancy or any top executive forced all these poor sons of bitches during their lunch break to gather around in the crew room and sing happy birthday for Hasan Piker. How humiliating is that? There's also a small issue of Dan being a total creep.
Want to explore clips?
That's very nice.
And now you have a clips feed. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Suppose you want to check out the stories to see what you missed yesterday. You click the—
What does this have to do with Hasan? So much of this content nuke is like guilt by association. Can you believe Hasan interviewed this person who I believe to be a vile terrorist anti-Semite? Can you believe that Hasan, as a famous streamer, has the CEO of the company enjoy him and like his content? Can you believe Hasan has smaller streamers who he has promoted in the past?
Like, hey, I don't need to enter a fucking debate about whether that's worthwhile.
They're dying, but I'm not gonna tell you to donate. Do whatever you want. Me, I donated $10,000, but I'm not gonna promote it. Just don't say you donated $10,000. Then, look, if you're not actively believing, if you don't believe in the cause, And if you're not against genocide at this point, like, keep your fucking money. Keep your $10,000. Keep your little chump change. Like, what do you want? Do you want me to say like congratulations?
Imagine being Frogan, a leftist living in LA in comfort, begging for her rent money on stream, and telling displaced and famished Palestinian children, "No kids, you need to give that 10,000 back. Ludwig didn't pass my purity test."
Keep your fucking money.
But wait, there's more.
I have no pity at all for any fucking soldiers. Distress, thank you so much. I will never have any fucking pity for.
These are the same things. This video is so boring. I feel like we're reliving all of the drama cycles of the past, like, what, 4 months ago? Maybe 5 months ago? How do you hype something up so long? Every other day, it's like, the content nuke is dropping. Can you believe the content nuke is going to be here only days until his entire career is destroyed? He's taking down every single other Arab or Muslim streamer on the platform, too. They're all getting nuked. It's a collective nuking. Everyone is like, Jesus Christ. So I feel if I wanted to have an experience where I just log on and go to the Destiny subreddit and spent hours and hours on there scrolling through every single one of the posts, that's what this video is. So now I get that experience just in YouTube video form, in addition to all of the horrifying jokes that are made about sexual assault and the Holocaust and other stuff like that. But that's woven in there too for good measure. Fun stuff.
Any fucking soldiers. U.S. military? Boo fucking who? I hope you get PTSD. Oh my god, I want my fucking Camaro, no student loans. Fuck you. I hope you get PTSD. And I hope you get no health insurance when you get back into fucking America.
This clip obviously made the rounds on social media and rightfully outraged a lot of people. Here's how she responded the next day.
I hope you get PTSD. And I hope you get no health insurance when you get back into fucking America. And they posted it in my head. I'm like, base?
This is bad because Hasan said he loved this clip, or Hasan said this clip was his favorite clip, or he makes this clip as the sound that happens when you sub to the channel. What's the association exactly? Because he's promoted Frogan in the past? Because they're both Muslim? Is that it?
Based? Like, am I supposed to be like, I'm not walking back on it. I still fucking agree with it. Base?
The smug defiance Frogan is showing is only because she knows that Twitch will do nothing to moderate her, despite veterans being classified as a protected group in Twitch's own community guidelines. But wait, there's more!
Okay, 6250, 9/11.
Did we switch to the Frogan content nuke? Is it just all Frogan? Oh, this is going into the Arabs podcast.
Those motherfuckers trying to take hummus and say it's Israeli is the most insane thing to me.
Dude, the fact that they have the audacity to create Sabra and make that like the staple hummus of America.
Okay, I'm sorry, but like there are so many horrifying, real anti-Semitic assholes, far-right extremists, fucking Nick Fuentes groypers on the internet who, yes, use that term to refer to Jewish people, that we don't need to look for hidden coded messages in people who are on a podcast, by the way, with a Jewish person. Like one of the 3 hosts of this podcast is Jewish, and they are consistently trying to differentiate between criticism of Israel, criticism of genocide, criticism of apartheid, and all Jewish people. They go out of their way to make that distinction, to then try and be like, hey, by the way, these people are using they interchangeably to mean what they think are bad Jewish people. We should be calling them out. Sabra hummus was a coded dog whistle. This is the exact same thing as, neo-Nazis when they use it. Be afraid. You are downplaying the horrifying realities that are the fact that there are a lot of neo-Nazis, and they are, in fact, right now, doing a lot of the shit brazenly and out in the open, and they have a lot of power in the United States. I would say that these are kind of the people we should all be targeting together, shouldn't we? Shouldn't we all be going after the far-right extremism, the fact that it's now kind of normalized in the United States to start using things like Hitler salutes? That's really frightening. That's really scary. I'm way more terrified of that. I'm way more terrified of an Elon Musk than I am of whether the Arabs podcast are secretly using coded messages to each other, in which one of the 3 people who would be using those coded messages is also Jewish, and they've spoken out consistently about the problem with anti-Semitism, about the problem with vilifying Jewish people, about the problems with people who try to associate everything that Israel does with all Jewish people. Like again, it seems like such a waste of energy, time, and a very, very large channel to do.
Insane.
Super offensive to us. And like that's actual like cultural appropriation. Like people get mad when someone has like dreadlocks and they call that
culture. I'm like, come on, it's just like a hairdo. Like, it's okay. People, like, white people are allowed to have dreadlocks if they want dreadlocks. But like, actually trying to claim our food, our desserts.
Just one question for you guys. Who the fuck do you think is making the hummus in Israel? Martha Stewart? No, it's the same fucking Arabic-speaking Jews that you kicked out in the 1950s. Yes, they also like hummus, and they like all the same shit you do. Because they are you. They're from your country. You kicked them all out, and now you're accusing them of stealing your culture. You want to talk about cultural genocide?
Oh my god. I assume this hasn't been doing the rounds yet because most people haven't made it this far in. I think I'm at the hour and 26 minute mark. I think this point is what most people haven't arrived at. What is going on? Hey, this has also happened at a time. I'm not sure if he's going to acknowledge this, but PepsiCo had to actually buy back the Sabra hummus brand because they felt that it was doing too much damage to their overall, you know, let's just say image to have them continuously associated with the production of Sabra hummus in Israel, especially in contested lands and say the West Bank. And the fact that there's an ongoing genocide of Palestinians was not exactly the best thing in terms of, I mean, McDonald's did the same thing, right? It's the reason why the McDonald's franchise bought back all of the McDonald's locations in Israel so that the social media of the Israeli McDonald's like locations would stop being like, hey, free, Happy Meals for all the IDF soldiers, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be giving more IDF soldiers and war criminals free food, all that kind of shit. That would be a big reason behind it, you know? Why are they in this video? I mean, this video has been mostly people outside of Hasan as well. It's like, Hasan, here are all the other really bad people that he associates with or who talk about him or who have ever said a nice thing about him.
How Arab are these Twitch streamers? Hold on a minute. I thought this was about hummus. You know, I'm tired of these people gaslighting me. Haven't the Jews been gassed enough? So you're telling me you understand?
I can't tell if anyone is taking this seriously. This, again, it feels like a horrifying parody of someone trying to make a hit piece, but is making a hit piece on a hit piece. I feel like this was made by Dreg or J-Reg, you know? That we're like, it's unbelievably inappropriate for Hasan, in the clip I'm about to show you, to make light about something as serious as sexual assault. Watch the clip. And then the clip plays, and then you're like, that's not a clip of him saying that sexual assault is good, or that he's okay with sexual assault, or that he's discounting or trying to downplay the severity of sexual assault. That's a clip of him saying there's no such thing as a perfect victim. As in, if there's a people experiencing a genocide or apartheid or ethnic cleansing, that yes, there's probably going to be things that they do that, you know, you don't approve of or you don't align with your morals, but that shouldn't supersede the fact that genocide is still wrong. That's the point of the clip. And then seconds later, it's like they make a joke about sexual assault. It's like the Seinfeld music starts to play. It's like, bow, sorry for all the rape, says Hamas. And you're like, no, okay, so in your criticism of him not taking sexual assault seriously enough, you are now not taking sexual assault seriously. You're doing a Seinfeld fucking meme about sexual assault with AI graphics of what you believe are, I guess, Hamas fighters. This whole thing is grotesque. How am I supposed to, on one end, think that you take this seriously when you're mocking it openly on a clip that doesn't even represent what he said? He's not saying that sexual assault is okay or good or acceptable in that clip. Like, Jesus Christ. And then in this, it's like, all these people are anti-Semites. They're horrifying. They make grotesque jokes about Jewish people and the Holocaust and stuff like that. And then he makes a Holocaust joke in that same sentence. And then it's like, well, then are you taking the criticism of this, like, call out on all these people seriously at this moment here? Buns not factored. All right, so I'm going to move from this to the other. I mean, I assume this is... Oh, Mike from PA got a final... Let's see the Mike from PA clips.
Not gonna fucking lie.
It would just be so easy to just,
Sean,
solve all of our
good to see you,
problems.
Sean.
Like, we would have socialism now at this point, right? We would have socialism at this point if someone just went out of their way and it would be so easy.
Thing that happens.
Whoa, the scary music. You know who they're talking about right now. I believe they're talking about a one Stephen Bonnell II. Interesting timing. It'll allow me to transition from watching the first Content Nuke into the second one, because the second one is actually on Stephen Bonnell II, A1 Destiny. Yes, and we're going to learn a lot about Destiny going forward. So the person they're talking about right now, I believe, is Stephen Bonnell II. Yes.
I mean, like, holy shit, guys. If you live in Florida, I have an opportunity for you. If you want to earn $100,000, let me know.
Actually, Mike from PA, the dude that's stuck in the before image of a transformation story, did receive a 3-day ban.
This man put a bounty on a fellow streamer's head. This man should not.
What are these jokes? Jesus Christ. Like, honestly, that's what I'm saying. If this came out in 2010, I don't even know if it would land. If this came out in like 2005, I don't know if it would land. It's like this shit is cringe for like the era in which I assumed it was written for.
Be getting a 3-day suspension. He should be getting a knock on his door from the FBI.
I made this video for 2 reasons. First, to stop Hasan infiltrating mainstream media.
Well, you've failed. I bet you already drink coffee and love coffee, but you're probably worried if your coffee has blood in it. Not literal blood, but conflict zone blood. Did you want to buy coffee that is not only going to be delicious, it's going to arrive right on your door, it helps a little bit fund the serfs, and also it's end-to-end indigenous owned. That's why I partnered with Solstice Coffee, and hey, if you order by going to serfscoffee.com, they even include a free sticker, which is pretty awesome. So there's really no reason to actually not replace the coffee you already drink with delicious ethical coffee. That's why you should check out serfscoffee.com.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/theserfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Puppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincel, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.